Hello, my friend. Imagine standing on a windswept ridge high in the Andes Mountains as the first light of dawn touches the peaks. The air is thin, the ground rocky and unforgiving. Yet tucked just beneath your feet, something quiet and extraordinary is waiting. What if the most unassuming thing on earth once held the power to reshape civilizations, feed millions, and teach us all a profound lesson about hidden growth? Stay with me, because today we're uncovering the remarkable journey of the potato, a story that begins in silence and darkness, faces fear and rejection, endures heartbreaking loss, and ultimately blooms into one of humanity's greatest quiet triumphs. Let's travel back thousands of years to those towering mountains of South America. Life up here was harsh. Frost could strike without warning, the soil was thin, and steep slopes made farming feel almost impossible. Most crops simply couldn't survive. But the indigenous people who called these heights home discovered something extraordinary growing in the cold earth, a sturdy little plant that produced round, energy-packed tubers beneath the surface. These were the first potatoes. To those early farmers, this humble vegetable wasn't just another crop, it was a lifeline. It thrived where nothing else would. In the thin mountain air and freezing nights, it stored nourishment that could sustain families through the toughest seasons. Over generations, communities learned to cultivate it carefully, carving elegant terraces into the mountainsides like giant staircases reaching toward the sky. They developed hundreds of varieties, vibrant reds, deep purples, sunny yellows, and even blues, each suited to different microclimates. They mastered clever preservation techniques, freezing the tubers in the crisp night air and drying them under the sun, creating lightweight stores that could last for years. This resilience helped a magnificent civilization flourish. The Inca Empire rose among these clouds, with vast networks of roads, sophisticated societies, and rich cultural traditions. At the heart of it all was the potato. It shaped their daily rhythms. People even timed tasks by how long it took to cook one. They wove stories around it, honored it in rituals, and saw it as far more than mere sustenance. It represented survival, abundance, and connection to the land itself. For centuries, the potato remained a treasured secret of the Andes, nourishing generations in one of the world's most challenging environments. But the world beyond those mountains was about to change everything. In the 1500s, Spanish explorers crossed the vast Atlantic in search of riches. They encountered the Inca Empire, and while they carried away gold and silver, they also unknowingly brought back something far more valuable in the long run, the potato. Loaded into the dark holds of sailing ships, these hardy tubers endured stormy seas and long voyages back to Europe. At first, almost no one noticed. Europe was dazzled by precious metals. When the strange, lumpy brown vegetables finally arrived, they met suspicion rather than celebration. They looked odd, knobby and earthy, growing underground in the shadows. Many Europeans associated the plant with the nightshade family, some members of which were known to be toxic. Others worried because it wasn't mentioned in ancient texts or traditional teachings. Rumors spread quickly. This could be dangerous, unclean, or even harmful to health. For decades, the potato faced outright rejection. Wealthier families dismissed it as ugly and fed it to livestock. Poorer communities often avoided it out of fear. In some regions, it was blamed for illnesses during uncertain times. Picture this, a food destined to nourish millions was instead pushed to the edges of society, grown sporadically but rarely embraced. The treasure from the Andes had crossed an ocean only to sit unwanted in foreign soil. The struggle was real. Misunderstanding, tradition, and fear created barriers that seemed impossible to overcome. Yet, slowly, sparks of change began to appear. A few insightful individuals recognized the potato's true potential. It was nutritious, versatile, and could grow in poor soil where other crops failed. It offered a practical answer to hunger in a continent often plagued by food shortages. The challenge was clear: how do you convince people to trust what they once feared? Enter Antoine Parmentier in France. Having experienced the potato's benefits firsthand during a period as a prisoner of war, he returned home determined to share its gifts. His approach was both clever and patient. He planted a field near Paris and dramatically posted guards around it during the day, creating an air of mystery and value. At night, when the guards left, curious locals sneaked in to steal the tubers and plant them in their own gardens, exactly as Parmentier had hoped. He hosted elegant dinners featuring potato dishes for influential guests, even gaining attention from royalty. Stories tell of potato flowers adorning noble attire and kings sampling the humble fare. Similar efforts unfolded across Europe. Leaders in various regions encouraged planting through incentives and example. Gradually, the tide turned. What began as cautious experimentation became widespread acceptance. Families discovered how reliably the potato could feed them, yielding bountiful harvests from small plots, providing energy for daily labor, and storing well through long winters. Population started to grow more steadily. More children survived into adulthood. Towns expanded. The potato quietly fueled stronger, more resilient communities across the continent. It had moved from outsider to essential companion in kitchens everywhere. This success, however, also carried an important cautionary chapter. In Ireland during the 1800s, the potato became almost the sole source of nourishment for many rural families. It grew exceptionally well in the Irish soil, sustaining large populations where other options were limited. But relying so heavily on a single variety created vulnerability. In 1845, a devastating plant disease known as blight swept through the fields. Crops turned black and inedible almost overnight. Year after year, the failure continued. What followed was a period of profound hardship known as the Great Famine. Food scarcity affected countless households. Families faced immense challenges as hunger and related illnesses spread. Tragically, around 1 million people lost their lives, while approximately 2 million more emigrated, many boarding overcrowded ships bound for new horizons like America. Those voyages were difficult, and the resilience of those who endured them helped shape communities far from Ireland's shores. Even today, many people trace family histories back to this era, carrying forward stories of strength amid adversity. This chapter reminds us that while the potato brought incredible gifts, balance and diversity in our resources matter deeply. The same plant that had lifted so many also highlighted the risks of putting all hopes into one solution. Yet the story does not end in loss. The potato's journey continued onward with renewed appreciation. Today, this once feared vegetable thrives on every continent. Farmers cultivate it in mountain valleys, fertile plains, and diverse climates worldwide. Billions enjoy it daily, boiled, baked, mashed, or crisped into beloved dishes that bring comfort and nourishment. It supports vast agricultural economies and remains a staple that helps feed growing populations. Scientists have even experimented with growing potatoes in space, preparing for future explorations beyond our planet. Back in the Andes, traditional farmers still nurture those colorful heirloom varieties, keeping ancient wisdom alive. My friend, consider the incredible journey this simple plant has taken. Born in the harsh silence of the Andes, it faced rejection and misunderstanding across the ocean, endured painful setbacks from over-reliance, yet through patience, human ingenuity, and time, it became a global force for sustenance and connection. That same quiet power lives inside each of us. Just like the potato growing unseen beneath the soil, your own efforts, whether learning a language, mastering a skill, or chasing a dream, often develop in the background during seasons that feel dark and still. But stay with it. Every small action nourishes roots growing stronger than you can see. The potato reminds us that breakthroughs come after the longest periods of quiet work, teaching the value of resilience, adaptability, patience, and steady discipline. You carry that same capacity within you. On the quiet days when progress feels hidden, keep tending your garden, keep listening, practicing, and believing. One day you'll dig deep and marvel at how far you've come. The world needs what only you can bring forward. You've got this, my friend.